Hello, everyone, and welcome to Iris's Insights. Thank you all for joining me. I want to start by saying that Black women are important now and forever. I'll be doing a 3-part series on the treatment and representation of Black women in the media throughout the years. Frances Dana Gage stated in 1851, Black women received no special treatment, and in fact lacked even basic human rights. When Black women were first introduced into the media, they were given stereotypical and racist roles. Shocking? I mean, if Black women could not receive basic human rights, did you think there would be a difference in the media? There is no other way to flip or spin this information. These are the facts. So I pose a question. Has this treatment improved over the years? Let's dive in. Referring back to the stereotypical and racist roles, a prominent example is the mammy character. For those that are unaware of what a mammy is, the character is typically an older enslaved dark-skinned Black woman that does housework for the family that owns her. Very motherly and doting to those she takes care of. You remember the woman on the syrup bottle, Aunt Jemima? She was the face of the mammy stereotype. In the height of the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020, Pearl Milling Company decided that it was time for a rebrand. Inside Edition released a video about the changes. Here's part of the clip.
The move by Quaker Oats comes as companies are grappling with branding issues in the wake of the Black Lives Matter movement sweeping America. The Aunt Jemima image is rooted in a mammy stereotype, and over the years, she's taken on different looks. In 1989, her headscarf was removed, and she was given pearl earrings and a more modern look.
The idea that Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's and hopefully other brands that have been upholding monuments to slavery in this country will all be torn down. This is a really important moment brought about by the young people that are protesting in the streets.
Quaker Oats issued this statement. We recognize Aunt Jemima's origins are based on a racial stereotype. While work has been done over the years to update the brand in a manner intended to be appropriate and respectful, we realize those changes are not enough.
Coincidence? Convenient? Crazy? Most of the comments in the comment section lean towards the last word. One user stated, "It's stupid how people think the brand is racist." Another user added, "It's just syrup." Well, they're right. Is it not just syrup? Who cares about the racial and stereotypical undertones behind the meaning of Aunt Jemima? Just cook the pancakes just with the syrup on top and move on, right? I was ready to throw in the towel until one comment truly stuck out and resonated with me. I didn't even know that Aunt Jemima was something bad about slavery. I really thought she was a real person with that special name. Once again, that famous quote displays its importance. Those who do not learn from their history are doomed to repeat it. Strong words with an even stronger meaning. I can admit that I was unaware of many racial stereotypes before the pandemic and the height of the Black Lives Matter movement. It was a learning experience for me and many others. The limitations on the history I was taught in school did a number on me emotionally. Why was I not aware of these things? Does not knowing make me less of a Black woman? Little did my 18-year-old self realize there was much more history to unpack. Tia C.M. Tyree and Aisha Powell discussed the representation of Black women in their article, African American Women in Television. Representations of Black women on television were scant and stereotypical for decades. A direct quote. Women like Ethel Waters and Cicely Tyson were determined to change this. In 1939, Miss Waters was the first African-American woman to host her own show, an unbelievable achievement for a Black woman during a time period of heightened racism and segregation. During the same year, Hattie McDaniel won an Oscar for her role in Gone with the Wind, the first Black woman to ever win an Oscar. Round of applause. It was disheartening to hear, but not shocking, that Miss McDaniel and her other Black castmates were allowed to attend the premiere due to segregation. At the Oscars, she was segregated again from her other white castmates. She was able to accept her award, though. Here's a clip.
I'm really especially happy that I'm chosen to present this particular plaque. To me, it seems more than just a plaque of gold. It opens the doors of this room, moves back the walls, and enables us to embrace the whole of America. An America that we love, an America that, almost alone in the world today, recognizes and pays tribute to those who give of their best regardless of creed, race, or color. It is with the knowledge that this entire nation will stand and salute the presentation of this plaque that I present the Academy Award for the best performance of an actress in supporting roles during 1939 to Hattie McDaniel.
Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science, fellow members of the motion picture industry, and honored guests. This is one of the happiest moments of my life, and I want to thank each one of you who had a part in selecting me for one of the awards. For your kindness, it has made me feel very, very humble, and I shall always hold it as a beacon for anything that I may be able to do in the future. I sincerely hope I shall always be a credit to my race and to the motion picture industry. My heart is too full to tell you just how I feel. And may I say thank you, and God bless you.
Miss McDaniel's role and win opened doors for other Black women in the industry. Tyree and Powell's analysis in 2022 displayed that the physical presence of Black women on television increased from the 1970s to the 2010s. Between the 70s and 80s, Black women were slowly starting to make more appearances. However, the roles they were given continued to revolve around the Mamie character, and they were subjected to playing side characters as well. Women represented less than 20% of roles on television programming at any given time throughout this decade, with African American women being among the lowest. Entering the 80s and 90s, the representation of Black women on screen slightly increased again. Shows like The Cosby Show showcased Black women in a positive light. One of the main characters, Claire Huxtable, played by Felicia Rashad, was a lawyer, the first time a Black woman was even played by a lawyer on a television show. Sadly, there were some negatives with this positive. The hypersexualization of Black women began. For those unaware, hypersexualization is the process of oversexualizing a person or character and leads to the focus only being on their sexual attributes. Specifically, the term fast was used to describe younger Black women, more so Black girls. Natasha Crooks and others discuss in Growing Up Too Fast, Black Girls' Sexual Development about how certain messages and stereotypes affect Black girls growing up. Extending these racist stereotypes to youthful bodies, Black girls are portrayed as older, less childlike, and less innocent in the media. I remember growing up and being told that red nail polish was fast and too grown for Black girls. I am 23 years old, everyone, and I still cannot wrap my mind around that theory or why it was such a particular issue. Cooks further discusses how the term fast or fast girl was intended to be helpful, but ended up doing more harm than good. The lack of protection for Black girls at such a young age fuels the continuous cycle of the adultification of them. Adultification is exposing young girls to adult concepts, emotions, and decisions. Sorry to get off track for a second, but I wanted to add that to the conversation because it needed to be said and addressed. Back to the media aspect of it. A stereotype that arose from this was the Jezebel character. A Jezebel was a Black woman with a lighter complexion and could possibly pass for a white woman. Carolyn West highlights in her article, Mamie, Sapphire, and Jezebel, Historical Images of Black Women and Their Implications for Psychotherapy, that the role of a Jezebel was to be a seductress for men during slavery. She was overly sexualized and dressed significantly different from her other counterparts. Tyree and Powell used Regine from the show Living Single as an example. Her character was dressed in tight shirts, skirts, tops, etc., and goes out with a new guy every week. The opposite of the Mamie character earlier discussed, would you say? To wrap things up, the first roles of Black women on screen were racist and stereotypical, heavily due to the state of the country back then. Looking back on what Frances Dana Gage said, she told us, Black women receive no special treatment and they lack basic human rights. Did you think it wouldn't reflect on screen as well? However, as time progressed in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, Black women started to receive other roles, but they were still mainly subjected to portraying either a maid or a promiscuous woman of some sort. These cannot and should not be the only roles for them. As we shift into the 2000s and onward, we begin to see some more representation for Black girls on screen and history being made for the first time on a major network. How do I know this? Maybe I'm psychic.
Yep, that's me.
Yeah, it's definitely not me, everyone. Sorry about that. But there is someone psychic I will be talking about in the second part of the series. Tune in to find out. And thank you all for listening to Iris's Insights. See you next time.